Hi, I'm Beth with Coronation, and I'm here to give you a scouting report on Pitt, Nebraska's next opponent in the NCAA tournament. They're going to play on Thursday at 8:30 Central Time, and Pitt's out of the ACC and 30-3 on the year. Those three losses, two of them are to Louisville, the number one team in the country, and they're still undefeated. And the third loss is to Georgia Tech, who Louisville just beat in the tournament. And knocked them out last round. So Pitt also beat Georgia Tech, one of their meetups in their conference schedule. They also have wins against Baylor. They beat Washington State. They beat BYU. So this Pitt team is seasoned. They've played some tough competition this year. They've seen some good matches where they've been tested. Maybe not to the extent that we see happening in the Big Ten, but the ACC is definitely a conference with good competition. Pitt is a smaller team than Nebraska is used to facing, and they're certainly smaller than Texas, our last opponent. So while Pitt's calling card, their thing that they're known for is their offense, just like Texas was, it's a really different offense than what we prepared for against Texas. I would just categorize Texas as they were tall, powerful, smart players, and that tall part I would delete for Pitt. And so they're fast, they get the ball to their hitters really fast, and they run a much quicker offense than we've seen. Probably the most comparable team to Pitt is Louisville, their conference people. We played Louisville early in the season and we did not like the result of that. Louisville really dominated us. And Pitt looks a lot like Louisville as far as speed, but probably faster. Pitt runs a two-setter offense, and so the setter is always in the back row, and when the setter comes to the front row, they sub in a hitter for one of the setters, and then the other setter she hits. And so Rachel Fairbanks is the setter, and then the setter that hits. So she's their 6-foot right side player, and like I said, she's a freshman. She's doing a really great job for them, both setting and hitting. And she really didn't start playing until late in the season, just before the tournament started. So I think they're pleasantly surprised by her, like we're pleasantly surprised by our freshmen. The thing to know about that two-setter offense when she sets out of the back row, one, you can always give the setter that first ball, which throws their offense off a little bit. So, tipping to the setter makes her play the first ball on defense, and then the libero will play the second ball as the setter. But the other part about the setter being the back row is they always have three hitters front row, which makes them a powerful offense. It makes them threatening at all three positions. And then they always have a player in the back row who's ready to hit too. Both of their outside hitters play all the way around. And so that outside hitter hits out of the middle back, just like Maddie Kubik does a lot and Michaela Fecke used to do. So having somebody in the back row that can also attack. Now they have 4 attackers to our 3 blockers, so that really does stress the blockers for the opposing team. Those outside hitters, Kayla Lund is a graduate student, so she's just been with Pitt forever. It seems like she's been playing there forever. And she is just really skilled. She has a lot of shots on the outside. She's 6 foot tall, so she matches up really well with some of these blockers on the other side of the net. She hits a lot of different shots off of the blocker's hands. She hits cut shots around the blocker's hands. She has every shot you need an outside hitter to have. And she was injured for part of their season, and so she only started playing consistently and the whole match through when they played Penn State in the second round. And even then, they didn't set her as much as they are doing now. Like each match, she's getting set more and just playing more. So I haven't seen any signs of injury in her. She looks good, but she was not playing for kind of the middle part of their conference season. And the other outside hitter is Leketer Member-Mene, and she is a senior, but she is a transfer from Missouri. We have one of those. Kayla Caffey transferred from Missouri. So Member-Mene is 5'8", and she jumps wonderfully. And she has a fast arm swing. So she does damage out there. She swings so fast, it generates a lot of power, and she gets the ball to the floor fast. So she really stresses defenses because that fast offense that they like to run benefits her. She's very fast. She gets on the ball fast, and she essentially is racing you to a spot as a blocker. She's saying, I'm going to get the ball, and I'm going to race you to the spot where my setter sets it, and I'm just going to hit the ball before you get there as a blocker, and she wins a lot of the time. So blocking her is a challenge, even though she's 5'8", because she's so fast, and she's just really dynamic as a hitter. And like I said, she hits out of the back row as well. So those outside hitters are one of their mainstays. Those two players, along with their right side player, Chinaze Ende, they get the majority of the sets. Those three players will get most of the sets for Pitt. Ende is, again, a mainstay. She's been with Pitt for a long time. She's a senior or a fifth-year player. And so she's going to get, 20% of the sets. And she jumps really well and hits what I would call extreme angles. She hits the ball, cuts it back along the net, or hits that line shot really well. And so she's not dug very well because she hits those balls more extremely than a typical right side hitter will hit. So I like that, Nebraska's coaching staff is excellent at scouting teams and preparing for teams. And so I like that we can prepare for that for her. We'll put up a block, and that block takes up space, and it kind of takes up a pie piece behind where their hands are up. So the defenders shouldn't have to defend the space that the block takes away. And then Nebraska's coaching staff will prepare our defenders, who are excellent, to be able to dig those more extreme shots. So her higher percentage hit areas, our defenders will be in those, but they won't be the typical places that we would defend a right side attacker. So I like that we can prepare for her, and I like to bet on our defense. Nebraska's defense is so good that the idea that we can defend to win, it works in our favor because our defense is so good. Their middles are good, but they don't get set as often. Serena Gray, you might recognize her name. She played for Penn State and transferred to Pitt this year. She's very good. She's their first middle. She does get set, about 20% of the times, 20% of their balls. And the Fairbanks, the freshman setter, she likes to set the middle. So her tendency is to give the ball to the middle whenever she can. And that's a good tendency for a setter. I would coach a player to want to do that, but it's good to know that as a blocker of what she wants to do. She wants to give the ball to the middles. The way Nebraska wins this match is serving. Just like we serve Texas off the court, we have to serve really tough. If we are able to serve and push their setters around and not have them setting all of those hitting options that we just talked about, then we're able to predict more and set that block up solidly in front of those hitters. So we have to serve really tough. And again, I like that we're betting on one of our strengths. Serving is a strength of Nebraska, and passing is not one of Pitt's strengths. The libero for them is Ashley Browski. I would expect Nebraska to target her on serve receive, and I never think it's a good thing when you're targeting the libero on serve receive. If your libero is not your best passer, then keep working. Keep working and making that player your best passer, if that means she gets better or if somebody becomes the libero who is the best passer. But Browski is not their best passer, so I would expect us to serve to her. And then their other two serve-receive passers are their outside hitters, so Lund and Member Monet. And we like to do that too. We like to serve to the hitter who's in the front row, because if she has to do two things inside of a rally, she's more likely to mess one up, right? If I'm passing but I'm thinking about hitting, I might mess that hit up. Or if I move to hit first and I don't pass first, I'm going to mess that pass up. So we will probably serve the libero and the outside hitter who's front row. Purdue tried to serve them short. I don't think they did it very well, but it also didn't work at all. So whose fault was it? Purdue's not great short serving, or Pitt handles short serves well. They were trying to disrupt their offense too. They were trying to get in there and make a passer pass the ball in a lane where an attacker was trying to get in there to attack, because as that passer is passing the ball, their offense is so fast, the attacker is starting to go as the pass is going. So if we can serve short effectively, that could be a strategy too. But we didn't see it work against Purdue, and so I think we'll go away from that if it's not working for Nebraska. And we do really strong, hard-driven serves, and those can be effective. We see their serve-receive passes, either aces, great, instant point, or just a pass off the net, and that gives us a better idea of where the set's going to go. It slows the offense down. So, I like the matchups in this game. Like I said, I think our defense is critical to the win. Blocking has to put up a solid wall, and the defense plays around it. We can do that. I like that our serving can stress their serve-receive because our serves are so solid, they are so good. I think, like always, we have to limit our attack errors, but I think the margin for error is slightly larger than it was against Texas in both our serve-receive passing and our attacking. Of course, they have to be good. We're playing in a national semifinal, but I think the margin for error is slightly bigger here. So we'll see you on Thursday night, Nebraska versus Pitt, to get into the national championship game. Go Big Red!